This is the Helm Developers Call for July 2nd, 2020. Let's jump right into announcements. Bridget, you mentioned something about KubeCon EU.
Yes, so unfortunately, Reinhard was not able to make it to KubeCon EU virtual because they expect us to show up while our recordings are played, and he has European vacation on account of how they moved it to August for Europe. It's all very exciting. But happily, Mark is going to join me. So I will have a co-presenter and we will have demos and it will be exciting. And probably the most exciting thing about it is since we pre-record and turn in a video, we'll have an opportunity for endless bike shedding on both the script and also the raw video before we turn it in. So I will provide those items in the meeting notes of this meeting as the month of July goes on. And it should be very exciting. And you'll be able to review and give your input. All right, that's what I had. So congratulations, Mark.
Thank you, thank you. I was telling Bridget, I'm a little bit nervous. Done this before, but not for Helm. But she's been very supportive. Any other announcements from anybody? All right, we can then go straight to discussions. First item, the 330 date. Bridget, you put that on. I just want to mention that Fisher sent an email on the mailing list to ask about a date. We got a couple answers. Seems to be July 7th, but I don't know if the other maintainers have weighed in.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Did you just want to give a quick recap as far as what we're talking about?
Oh, the 330 release, I think. That was
yeah, so, oh, sorry, I didn't understand your question, Adam. Yeah, the last meeting we discussed having a fixed date for the 3.3 release because it's been being pushed and pushed because there's some PRs pending.
Sorry, I heard something different. I understand now.
Okay. Farina, you wanted to say?
Well, I was going to ask, is this the date you're talking about the release candidate or trying to get the formal release out?
RC1.
Yeah,
the RC1.
I'm talking about an RC1.
All right.
So for context here, there was some discussion on the mailing list asking for today actually to be for the release candidate, but I thought it might be a little bit off because it's kind of like a weird vacation week where Canada Day and Independence Day align on this week, and so people are running in and out all week long. So it'd be kind of hard to. We could release an RC1 today, but then it would be difficult to figure out testing between like Friday, Monday, and then Tuesday and whatnot. So I figured it's probably better to start the release candidate process after all this vacation turmoil, and then we could actually go and properly test it if need be.
So what we were thinking, like mid next week?
Yeah, I had proposed Tuesday of next week, which would be the next earliest available time. That also gives other people who are interested in getting their PRs up in shape, they're willing to do that. But we could push that even further to give people more time as they're coming off of Independence Day holidays or whatnot. So open to suggestions and whatnot, but that's what I kind of thought was a good time to start cutting an RC.
Farina's muted.
That sounds good. Yeah, no, I like that. That sounds good. Makes sense to me. We've pushed it long enough. We've got most things in, I think, that we wanted, and it gives people just a little bit of time to cram and get maybe some of the last PRs reviewed and merged. Monday, and then Tuesday, someone can cut the release.
All right, anything else on 3.3? Next item, V2 end of life. Bridget.
I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm making everyone rehash stuff from last week because I wasn't here. But for this one, I noticed we only have 3 pull requests that are tagged V2 that are still in progress. So I'm wondering, one of them, maybe it just needs a merge, and the other 2, it would be great if we just get people to sign on and review them, and we can either get them thumbs up, thumbs down, and then we can deal with the triage of the remaining issues. But yeah, I'm just wondering if anyone has already looked at or is interested in committing to getting some of these out.
So I can give some context on a couple of them. So the three of them in particular, I'll post the actual list here that you're referencing for others to take a look at. But one of them is about installation instructions for Helm 2 on the apt and Debian Ubuntu stuff. I know Matt Farina has been kind of working with this particular contributor on that one for Helm 3.
Oh yeah, he actually merged the V3 side of it, and I was like,
So-
should the V2 side be different?
I merged the V3 side and then did a follow-up that updated all of the docs just to point out that they're not official. It's not the Kubernetes community. It's the Helm community. I made a bunch of little tweaks like that directly following it. Can do the same thing on this one today.
Okay. The avoid corrupting storage via a lock, I think that one is a port over from Helm 3, and I can't recall if that one was merged into Helm 3 or not. If it is, then we can probably just take a look at this one again and review, make sure that that code is the same, and that it ports over nicely. And then the last one, it says that it has changes requested, and that was December 2019 when it was first opened. And there's another pull request that's open for Helm 3 on that one that we're still waiting on responses for. So it looks like there was some activity from you, Bridget, actually, 2 days ago, and the community contributor is looking to, I guess, rebase it or kind of readdress things.
He did. I think he fixed his merge conflict.
Okay, so it's just a matter of going and reviewing it then.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, I don't feel qualified to say yes or no to those pull requests, but I figure there are definitely people on this call who are.
yeah, we should probably at the very least take a look at those and seeing if they're applicable, and if they need to get merged in at this time frame, or if they're just ports of existing things and they're not necessarily like game breakers or things like that. Show breakers, showstoppers.
All right, anything else on the V2 end of life point? Then we
I
move
know
on.
Paul wanted people to sign up to work synchronously on issues, which sounds cool if people's timeframes allow for it. Otherwise, maybe if everybody wants to just look through the open V2 issues and see if there's one that they can definitely deal with asynchronously, that's awesome too. Spoiler alert, I'm going to keep bringing this up literally every week until August 13th when we end of life the bug fix part of V2.
So for Paul, there's a doodle that he created. It's linked in the, actually, let me paste it here. Two people, I think, 2 or 3 people answered. If others are interested, they should put so he can pick a date. Anything else on V2? Anything else? There's one point for me, but I put it mostly because there was nothing on the document when I looked at it yesterday. So I thought, hey, you might as well bring up a question. But if there's somebody else who wants to jump in and discuss something, feel free before I'll ask mine if there's time left. Anybody from our guests?
Yeah, or if anybody wants to introduce themselves.
Oh yeah, we do have our
On the spot,
interns. Our interns
Yeah.
from the team. If you want to say hi.
Hi everyone, my name's Amanda. I'm currently a rising junior studying computer science at USC, and this summer I'm an Explore intern doing SWE and PM on the Questlet team.
Hi, my name is Gari. I am also a rising junior at USC studying computer science, and I'm working on Porter.
Glad to have you guys.
Thank you for joining. And now you get to see that this is an exciting meeting full of community members from all over. Not everyone's at Microsoft for sure. Just the faces you recognize from stand-up are at Microsoft, and the other ones all over the world. But yeah, let's talk about three-way merge, Mark. That sounds like an interesting question.
Yeah, so I was working on a PR for completion on Helm rollback, and it brought up things that I had read on the three-way merge, the new three-way merge for Helm 3. And I wanted to confirm that I understood things correctly, because this leads to another suggestion. If Helm 2, I assume you could not do a rollback to the current version. It would make no sense because you'd just stay the same. With Helm 3, you can do a rollback to the current version. And I think what that implies is that you can, I've deployed something, I've made a manual change by hand using kubectl, for example, and then I want to say, oh, undo, go back to what Helm knew about. So then I would roll back to the current version. And the three-way merge should allow me to do that. I think that's what I understood from the doc. Is that right?
Yeah, so Adam, Taylor, and I had all kind of worked on that particular part when we were looking at the rollback logic. And that was kind of the I wouldn't say agreement. It's not that, it's, the word is slipping my mind right now, but
Intent?
basically that's the behavior that we had figured would be a good thing, because you would want to be able to, if you came in and did a kubectl edit or a kubectl patch or something like that out of the Helm release timeline, or someone, God forbid, like deleted the release or something like, or not deleted the release, deleted a resource or something like that, you wanted to be able to restore back to the previous or to the current state. So then you could come back to basically like what you're saying, a Helm restore in a way. You could restore to the current state of everything, because you would basically be able to revert back to whatever was the upgraded state at that point.
Another thing that might work for this would just be to do a to upgrade a release, but just pass in the same information, because it's going to create a new release anyway if you do like a rollback. And so if you do an upgrade, it will check what's in the cluster, and it might give you that behavior that you're looking for. But one thing I was thinking about when you were talking through it is, it might be nice to have like a validate, like Helm Validate, to make sure what you have in cluster matches what's in the release. Because then that would give you the opportunity to, we wouldn't have to build in all the edge cases into Helm. Because chances are, if there's something that isn't correct with your live resources in a release, you're probably going to want to edit that manually based on whatever it is.
So if I'm understanding, you kind of want to figure out a way to detect if the state has drifted from the current release in some way.
Yeah, and that way we give the user the opportunity to figure out what's the best way to remedy it. You know, because we would have to define, you know, what resources would be deleted and recreated versus upgraded. You know, if somebody just does, edits a resource, like wants to increase their replica count or something like that, then, you know, there's so many different edge cases for why somebody would edit a resource outside of Helm, that to capture all of that and have Helm do it just in a single command, I think might be not so much difficult to implement, but difficult to explain the story as far as what's going to happen to all your resources.
There's two things that I can think of, main use cases as an operator, that I would potentially want to do with drift from the last known state from Helm. One of them is, I made that change, I want that change to stay there, so take it into account. But the other one is, I made that change and I want to easily roll it back now and undo the change that I made. So like, I've thought of it in my head as having kind of like a -- reset flag, where you say Helm rollback current release -- reset. And it deliberately overwrites everything that's currently in the state of the cluster with only what comes out of the Helm chart.
That's actually the scenario I had in mind. Although not necessarily a use case that I've run across, but just the ability to exactly what Joe said, is that I played around. Maybe I'm not in production, but I'm in my development cluster. I played around with it. I try stuff, and then when I'm done, I just want to clean it out, go back to standard state.
Yeah.
And I only brought it up because I think that this is a feature that is possible now, which was not possible before. So I wanted to see if something that, you know.
So this is kind of an interesting case because we're talking about taking the internal logic of Helm and using that as something that you could take as output in some ways. Like a Helm, there's two different things that are going on here. Like Joe's talking about how you could take the current state or the current, like the state drift that's happened, and you could say exclude certain parts of it from the restoration that's happening. That, to me, it sounds like, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like what you're looking to do is you're looking to find all the patch sets that have, like, to generate all those patches that Helm does during an upgrade, or that Helm has detected that has changed based on the live state, and then somehow take that output and do selective logic on whether you want to patch those resources or not. Is that correct?
I don't think in the case I'm talking about, it deliberately wouldn't be selective. That would be me as an operator saying, essentially just kind of throwing my hands up in the air and going, I did a bunch of stuff. I don't know what I did. I just want to reset to a known state, rerun this chart, do an install, ignore the existing state of the cluster, and then make what that chart says happen.
So would you want a patch on that, or would you want the resource to be deleted and recreated?
I can see cases for both. I think it would be fine if we said that a reset implies a delete and recreate if it makes things simpler, but it would be nice to have a flag where I said, you know, like -- recreate forces everything to be deleted and recreated. Otherwise, it does a patch.
What would prevent somebody from just running a Helm delete and then a Helm install again?
Probably nothing. If that, well, I'd have to think about that because I feel like there might be cases where that doesn't quite achieve the same thing as seamlessly, but I'd have to think about that. That might be a viable alternative for the reset scenario, yeah. And it, you know, it may even be useful to people to just put that in the documentation and say, this is the behavior of it, and if you want to do a full reset, you need to do this.
So Joe, do you want to try writing up an issue with what you think could be documented and or implemented so that we can dig into the details?
Yeah, I'll throw an issue in there for that. And I think there was an issue from the other week, well, a few weeks ago now. There was that user who wanted to be able to revert to a previous state. What was it? He wanted to use the Helm chart templates that are embedded in the release to do an upgrade instead of needing to supply the chart additionally on the command line. And this might play into that as well. So I'll write up a new issue and then I'll tag that one because they might want to be considered together. I haven't, although honestly I haven't looked at that issue, so I don't know if it's been updated in any way.
Yeah, that would be interesting because that is in effect exactly what a Helm rollback is. It's a Helm rollback. Well, you get rollback hooks instead of upgrade hooks, but in effect, a rollback is an upgrade just using internal chart metadata as your upgrade path. It's not necessarily like a downgrade or things like that. It's just literally patching the resources with what was the previous manifest in an old release. But going back to Mark's case, does that capture what you're trying to convey with this, or is there some other thing that you were wanting to address here?
No, that's pretty much it. Just something that maybe users would. One thing that I did notice though is that Helm rollback without a parameter goes back 1, which is I think a Helm 2 kind of based concept. in Helm 3, does it still make sense like that?
I think
does the current ever apply?
I think it still makes sense, because what you're trying to do is, in a typical scenario when you're rolling back, is that you're rolling back from the current deployed state to the state before that. You're not necessarily going and saying, well, I did an upgrade and then I did a bunch of edits and then I want to roll back to the current release. That's usually an edge case where you're trying to go back to a current known state. Usually when you're doing a rollback, you're usually taking the deployed state and you're going back one release because that release failed, or the application is erroring out in some way. So you want to go back to the previous application state. So I think the holdover from using the default argument as the previous release rather than the current releases would still hold true, I think.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. And it shows that the whole new rollback to current is kind of a new concept. It's a different thing. All right, 7 minutes left. So we're doing well on time. Any other discussions that people would like to? Did you lose me?
For a second,
Up for
you're
a
back.
second. I think that since we have our interns on the call, it would be kind of cool if everyone just kind of said, hey, I'm so-and-so and I work at such and such and I do this for the Helm project. Just because that would be kind of interesting for them to see the variety of roles.
Do you want to kill the recording for that, or
Yeah, if people want.
Include it on there?
I mean, I think there is some value to it.
Okay. Well, I unmuted, so I'll start. So I've been, I'm Helm developer, been on Helm since day one. So I'm more here to communicate the history of things and why things are. I am a human archive.
And because you've been on it so long, everything's your fault, right?
It is. Blame me.
All right, since I unmuted, I can go next. My name is Matt Farina. I work at Samsung SDS right now, and I'm one of the maintainers on Helm. And I got suckered into doing Helm things because I've known Matt Butcher a long time, a very long time. And so he suckered me into doing things, and so here I am. Don't anybody else go next all at once here.
Toss the ball to somebody, Farina.
Oh, in that case, I'll pass the ball to, I'll pass it back to Mark, because you're not non-Microsofter.
All right. Hopefully my internet will hold. You might have noticed it keeps breaking. I'm a new maintainer to Helm. I'm working for the city of Montreal, actually, we are moving everything to cloud native solutions, and I got involved in Helm, mostly focused on command completion. So that's why I keep asking questions about the whole thing behind it, because I'm quite behind on that. And Mr. Fisher.
Hi. Gary and Amanda both know me, but so I'm Matt Fisher. I'm a software developer over at Microsoft. I have been working with the team for, God, how long has it been now? Are we coming up on Helm's 4th anniversary in November, or is it October?
Just say forever.
Okay, forever.
Is it 4th or 5th?
Oh God.
5th.
Yeah.
This pandemic.
I've been using it over 3 years, so it's at least that many.
There you go. So
in pandemic time, it's 1,000 years.
So I originally was a user of Helm. We used to work on a platform called Deus, and Helm was kind of like what we were using to use as our package manager for deploying it. So I came from that side. I came from the user side of it and testing it and playing around with it and submitting bugs and occasionally PRs. And then I eventually became a full-time Helm core maintainer as time came along. And I also knew Matt Butcher from long ago before all this, and then somehow our paths crossed once again. So small world in the engineering world. You'll find familiar faces everywhere you go.
And it's 5th, by the way. It is 5th. I just
The
looked.
5th anniversary in October. October or November?
October.
October. Okay. Let's go to Martin.
Don't forget Martin. He's so quiet today.
This is the one where the teacher asks you something and you've been doing something else. Okay. All right.
Just
my
a little
name is
introduction of
We're
you,
just
Martin.
introducing ourselves because there's some interns on the call.
Oh, yeah, I have no idea, but I got kind of sidetracked there. Sorry about that. Yeah. Hi, my name is Martin. Welcome to all the interns. Hopefully they're looking after you. Keep an eye on those folks there. Bridget, she looks a bit dodgy, and Matt Fisher, so just watch out for him. That's only a joke, by the way. Adam is okay. He's safe, all right. Don't worry about that. So what happened to me? I just strolled in here one day into the bar, and after that, I've been here since. And just doing bits and pieces and, bits of code and bits of helping out and stuff. So, yeah, it's been great fun. So, yeah, that's pretty much me. Who hasn't gone?
Did you note that you worked at IBM? I got sidetracked and I wasn't paying
Oh, yeah,
attention.
sorry. I work for a company as well, yeah. So I work for IBM as well. So, yeah. I think that's
And
fun.
he's in the land of castles and funny accents.
I'm in the... Hey, love the accents, okay? I'm on elocution lessons for the last couple of weeks. So I have improvement in all my English. So
In all your English. And one other thing I just got to throw in there. When he says tree, he means 3. So when he says Helm tree, he means Helm 3.
So Martin, what's the next release we're working on?
the next release is 4. No TH.
Oh, you got me there.
We've got to get Ronan to do a Helm tree logo. That just seems like necessary.
Ronan's English is pretty good, isn't it?
Oh,
Considering.
yeah, but he'll make a logo if we ask him. It'll be like Helm with a tree.
He makes a good job, actually. Yeah. He can pronounce the THs, I'd assume.
It looks like
All
we
right.
have Adam for moderator and Martin for notes for next week. Let's get somebody on issue triage. Don't all jump at once. You know you want to.
I am almost always just kind of trolling along the issue queue, so I'm happy to put my name down as responsible person, but as always, I'm happy to have help.
Okay, I will help
I'll
you
be
a
off
little.
give you a hand there.
I volunteer as tribute.
Thank you. All right, Mark, take us home.
All right, thanks everybody. It's exactly 1 o'clock. Let's close this off. We thank you all, and we'll see you next Thursday. Have a good week. Bye-bye.